all we are is this moment now, and anything else that's in the future or the past, like the past is dead, the future doesn't exist. And trying to attain these materialistic goals, or these trying to attain so much and amass so much wealth, in reality is not going to give us fulfillment and happiness. The only thing that is going to give us real peace and tranquility is realizing that all we are is now, and we are not this identity that we attach to. That is, like, for me, Alex Rogers. I've got this identity, this ego that is Alex Rogers, and I act like this, I behave like this, and I need to go and attain this. I need to go and attain this certain amount of wealth and amass status and all these things I've got in my mind battling to trying to attain, is in reality just causing me more suffering, because I am enough as it is. All I am is this present moment. And I think this true understanding really alleviates any sort of suffering, because you realise that you're enough now and you can just be and act without having to desire things. And when you have a desire, you attach to a certain outcome, and this attachment to an outcome is going to cause you suffering, because it's reinforcing what you are not now. Whereas if you just realise that, like, everything that ever is right now in this present moment, then you can just be without the chattering mind, and you're not expecting things. So I'm stuck in this current predicament in life at the moment, and I keep thinking that I need to have money, because, like, it frees up your schedule and it frees up your time. And, like, unfortunately we live in a society today where, like, you have to have money to do what you want to do. Like, if I want to go and travel, I need to have money. I want to support my family and free up my time, and I need to have money for that. I want to focus my time on growing this podcast and sharing a good message, and I need to have money for that. But I get stuck in this mindset of, like, once I achieve that, once I free up my time and free up my family schedule and amass a certain amount of money, that then I'm going to be happy. And that thought there is just a pure illusion in itself, because nothing external is going to make you happy. The only thing that is going to make you fulfilled and purposeful is realising that you are just this present moment. So we tend to put our self-worth on what we achieve and what we do in the external world, and we're like, if I amass a certain amount of wealth, then that is in return going to make me happier, give me a higher status, and make me more fulfilled. But it's trying to fill a void that you can't fill. And once you realise that you don't need to fill the void, and the void's just there, you accept the void, then you can actually get away from the true suffering of it. And the only reason we're chasing money or chasing these certain external goals is to make us feel more fulfilled now. And that's the only reason for what it is. We're just trying to get back to being peaceful in the present moment. Everything is about the present moment. And this is why meditation is so important, because when you can actually awaken from that, and you can realize that most of your thoughts are you just attaching and desiring future goals, or reminiscing in the past, or trying to predict what's going to happen next so you can act like this so you can feel better in yourself. Like, your mind is constantly trying to make you feel better. It's constantly trying to work its way back to the present moment by thinking that if I achieve this, it's going to bring me there. But the true realization is, like, the only way you're going to find fulfillment and peace and happiness is awakening from this sense of illusionary self, that, like, you are not this identity, you are just the present moment. So whenever you feel any emotions or any anxiety, it's not like you're feeling that, it's not Alex Rogers is feeling that anxiety. You are just that anxiety. You are just what's ever amassing and arising in the present moment. And to understand that and realise that takes away any sort of suffering from what's going on, and you realise you are just this moment, and there's no point trying to wish you are something else, because that in return is going to reinforce that you are not what's happening right now, and it's going to actually make the thing worse. So it's just that acceptance of what is happening now, and understanding that, like, where I am right now, this position where I'm not happy with who I am, or if you're, like, dissatisfied or you want to be something else, that true understanding that everything I'm feeling right now is where I am right now, and there is nothing I can do about it, and this is the present moment, this is the current reality. And me trying to wish I was something else, or wish I could be somewhere else, or desiring and attaching myself to an outcome of a future idealistic me, is going to just cause me more suffering, because it's reinforcing again that I want to be somewhere else other than what is the current reality of now. And it's weird, it's like we fabricate these illusions of, like, if I get to 10k a month, I'm going to be incredibly happy, or if I become this confident, mega shredded person that is going to give me fulfillment and happiness, and it doesn't, because it's all just running away from the present moment and the true nature of what is now. And like, this understanding is going to take you a while to get there, and you've got to really strip back the programming from society and the reinforcement of the habit of your mind to attach to future outcomes. You've got to break that down and keep working through it, because like, we've spent our whole lives thinking that when we achieve things it's going to make us happy, but it really won't. It will just lead to you setting another goal and then wanting to achieve something else. And that's like the hedonic treadmill that the Buddhists talk about, which is like, you get stuck on this, always wanting more, always desiring more, and desires by their true nature cause suffering, because you're trying to attach yourself to something that doesn't exist, and it's reinforcing what you are not now. As I said before, like, we are just this present moment, and the true acceptance of that is going to be when you awaken from suffering and allow yourself to settle in and appreciate what life is about. But then we also, as I said before, like, we need to live in this material world, and it's really hard, because I understand that I want to go out and actually like make money and do all these things, because it does allow me like to free up my schedule and have autonomy. And this comes back for me like the definition of freedom and liberty. So I would say like liberty, and the definition of that is having freedom and autonomy over your schedule, so you can do what you want whenever you want. And having liberty is very important, because once you've got that, you can actually put your time on things you want to focus on, and like you can craft your own schedule to do things you want to do, and not be controlled by a boss or not be controlled by financial burdens. Like, you've got liberty there to do whatever you want when you want, and money allows you to attain that. Having money will give you liberty, because it will give you the buffer to not have to worry about finances and do things you don't want to do, just so you can meet your basic financial and survival needs. But freedom is different. So you got liberty there, which gives you the control over your schedule and all this. But then you got freedom, and freedom is a choice in your mind. Freedom is not being a slave to your thoughts, and freedom is having the ability between stimulus and response to choose, and being in true control, and being the true observer, and not attaching to everything that comes up in your mind. And even if you attain liberty, so you amass all the wealth and you can do whatever you want whenever you want, if you can't control your thoughts, if you can't separate yourself from your impulses and your urges, you are not free, because you are a slave to whatever's coming up in your mind. And this again comes back to the present moment is everything there is. So when these thoughts come up, they are just they're just something arising in your conscious experience, and not something that needs to be attached to. And our minds are like, they want to predict things. They're prediction machines. It wants to predict, like, if I do this, I'm going to get this. Or if I work hard like this, I'm going to achieve this goal. But you attaching to that thought is going to cause you more suffering, because if that outcome doesn't happen, and even if that outcome does happen, you're living in the future. You're not sitting in what currently is the present moment. It's like we're like peeping over the present shoulders moment all the time. We're always expecting things, and always like not sitting in what is actually happening right now. And in return, we're going to lose our whole life doing this, because we're not going to realize that life is just made up of every present moment. Like, everything that's happening right now, this moment, me talking to the podcast, this is all there is, and nothing will ever exist other than the present moment, because the past is dead and the future doesn't exist. And that future, and me trying to live in a world in my mind where I'm picturing, if I do this, that future's going to happen, that is, again, just coming away from the present moment. And it is really as simple as just realising that everything that is happening right now is all there is and all there will ever be. So you need to meditate, I think. I think the only really way to understand this and awaken from it is to meditate and to chase things without desires. Like, you can actually still go and attain these material goals. And this is like a thing I've been battling with. Like, how do I set goals? Because I still want to grow the podcast, and I still want to make money, as I said before, to achieve liberty. But I don't want it to cause me suffering. I don't want it to be this constant, like, perpetual thought of, when I attain this, I'm going to get happiness, because I'm so aware of this is how my way of thinking is, that I think as soon as I become shredded again, as soon as I become really confident in myself, as soon as I amass all this wealth, it's going to make me happy. But again, it's expecting I'm living in the future. I'm trying to expect something's going to make me happy, when like the true happiness and fulfillment just comes from realizing that all there is now, and I could literally do that right now. I could choose to awaken right now. But I think it's all about training the habit of your mind for me, and like meditation's so important for this, and even like some psychedelic experiences, things that make you understand that everything that happens in your mind isn't actually you, and the only thing that is existing is right now, should be pursued. And like meditation, psychedelics, and reading into spirituality like Buddhism, philosophy, all of this really does help you understand this. But I'm still going to go out and achieve the goals, but I'm just going to try and be very mindful that I don't need to attach to them, and I don't need to like focus on the outcomes. And it's like that backwards law of Alan Watts. It's like once you start like focusing on something like the positive, so like I'm going to set a goal of I want to make 10 grand a month. As soon as I start focusing on like 10 grand a month, and I focus on the positive of it, like I'm gonna have all this money, I'm gonna have all this freedom, that in return is going to make me feel like I'm less, and it's actually going to put me further away in the path. But if I was to focus on the negative of like, I haven't got enough money right now, this present moment is, I don't have a big enough audience, I'm not making a big enough influence, and I'm not making enough money. If I just focus on the negatives of what happened, and now I can actually make strides towards that end goal without causing the unnecessary suffering of me attaching to the goal. And in reality, that's gonna not reinforce what I'm not. It's going to reinforce that the present moment is right now, and I'm making the right choices now. So I think setting goals can be very important, and it gives you that sense of direction, but not to like fully attach yourself to them goals and attach yourself to the outcomes, because the outcomes, regardless of what happens, don't exist. Them outcomes don't exist yet. The only thing that does exist is the now. So people, I don't really know where I was going with that podcast. It was kind of just me like splurging my thoughts and these like current thought predicaments that I'm in, because like the more you read into spirituality and philosophy, it really puts you in a weird state of mind that you realise that like our whole society is chasing the wrong thing, and the only way we're going to move forward as a society, and I think the next part of human evolution, is going to be awakened from this illusionary sense of self, to realise that we are all one and we are all connected. And I really think like the definition of God for me is that God is everything. And this is by a guy called Eric Spinoza, and he defined God as everything. Like God is me, you, the flow and nature of consciousness is God. And I think once we can strip back all the dogmatic beliefs of religion and strip back the societal programming of attaining wealth and amassing more, once we can realise that we are all connected and we are all on this planet to experience consciousness and just be in the present moment, we can all start progressing towards making a better society and helping each other. Because like if we are all one and we are all God, why would I hurt someone else? Because in return I'm hurting myself. So, and if we can all get in that mindset, we can all define God like this, we'll all be a lot kinder, a lot more peaceful, and we might actually change the way society is structured, because it's structured in a way where like capitalism is like to always want more. And I don't know any other systems that we could use capitalism for, that we could create that would actually give a structure to society. But like capitalism is our best system so far. But like you really think of capitalism, it's always like greed, it's always more, you should always attain wealth. That's what capitalism is. And like as long as we live in a society where like a tree is worth more dead than alive, we are going to be harming nature, we're going to be harming ourselves, and we're going to do anything to amass greed, to amass wealth, and we're going to live in this very like greed hungry state of mind. But if we can really define God as everything, and we can realize we're all just this conscious experience, and we're all exactly the same, we're all right now in this present moment, that's all there is, we're all going to actually start changing our purpose and our desires to help each other, and to actually push humankind in a way where we can help and advance, instead of just trying to fill our own desires and fulfill our own greed. And I think that is the way that like we need to awaken from society. And I think until we do that, we're going to be stuck in wars, we're going to be stuck with mental health issues, and we're going to be chasing and pursuing the wrong goals. But yeah, it's tricky, because the more you read into like self-improvement, and like not even self-improvement, and the more you read into like spirituality and really understand like the true nature of consciousness in your own mind, the more you start to realise that like this external noise, all this material gain, it's all just a load of bollocks. Like it doesn't give you fulfillment and happiness, but you still got to sit down in this reality, in this realm that we are in, and realise that not everyone has the ability to awaken right now, and I don't, and all we can do is still live in the material world, still make money, and then put it towards a good purpose to share a good message. So if you're watching this and you want to improve yourself and you want to better yourself, like, don't be scared to talk about these things, and don't be scared to push out a good message and make yourself look like an idiot, because, or like think that you're going to look like an idiot, because this is all just your ego, like tricking yourself. And the more people we have that are putting their message out there and are sharing their own values and putting a positive message out there, the better the world's going to be, and the more we can start awakening. And it starts by you pushing your message out there, because your message will have a butterfly effect to other people. And I think even me doing this podcast, if I can get one person to realize that, like, they can better themselves and they have full freedom and control over what their choices are, and to start realizing that, like, they don't need to amass all this wealth to feel good in themselves, the more people we can awaken to understand the true nature of reality, the better we're going to be as a society, and the more I'm going to feel fulfilled and happiness, because serving others is in return serving yourself. So I'm going to finish that podcast, people. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but let me know in the comments below. Whilst I'm traveling at the moment, it's very hard to plan and really set good intentions for these podcasts, because, like, I'm living such like a nomadic backpacking life, and like to really research it takes a lot for these podcasts. So at the moment I'm just reading, understanding how my mind's working, and then sharing my messages with the podcasts. But until I get home and I get a podcast studio, it's going to be just this. And then once I've got my own podcast studio, then there will be the guests coming on. The production quality will go up and everything will start improving. But for the moment, I'm just going to share my thoughts to just hopefully help you on your journey. So thank you very much for listening, people, and I'll see you all in the next episode.